Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's football show on this Monday night. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. We're looking back over the weekend's football and we'll look ahead to Celtic in the Champions League. In the second part of the programme, we'll have a chat with our special guest, Louis Moult, the Motherwell striker. Talks about his personal career and, of course, Motherwell and their hopes for that appearance in the League Cup final against Celtic. Can they cause a shock? You can find out in the next part of the programme. So, Ruffy, over the weekend, everybody looking towards Rangers. They're wondering who the next manager is going to be. But first and foremost, Graham Murty's in interim charge. He had to take care of the side and he brought back Kenny Miller, and boy, did it pay off.
Yeah, it certainly did. I think the supporters were hoping somebody would come to their senses and bring him back. He's a big player for Rangers, and it was proved at the weekend that he is a really big player with the 2 goals that he scored. 2 quality goals, typical Kenny Miller goals, and set Rangers on their way to win.
Yep. Were you disappointed with Hearts?
No, I think when Hearts got the first goal, Kyle Lafferty's free kick was an absolute screamer, super goal. I agree with Craig Levein that Jamie Walker's a big player for them, but I didn't think Jamie Walker was particularly having a good game that day, so I don't think you can put all that on to why Hearts get beat. I just think Rangers got the goals at the right time. Hearts 1-0 up, had a chance to go 2-0. You know, when the boys through.
Yeah.
If that goes in, it changes the whole complex of the game. But no, I don't think you can take anything away from Rangers.
OK, well, let's be honest about it. Kenny Miller was ostracised, vilified as well. Comes back in, not only did he score 2 great goals, but he created the third one as well. His pass with the outside of his boot was sublime.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, he was playing off Morelos, and I think it's Murty has saw that kind of style in his game. He did it against Celtic and it worked. You know, he's good in midfield, he's got a lot of pace, he can support the striker, but you're right, you don't see many passes like that, and it just summed up the whole day that he had. OK,
Derek McInnes is the red-hot favourite. The Rangers need to show their intention, their desire this week. Go get him, pay the $1.5 million that maybe Aberdeen are looking for in compensation, and get him in as soon as possible, although what we hear is they're in no rush.
Well, I think the supporters might, the board might not be any rush, but I'm sure the supporters were, because if you keep picking up the paper and seeing who's available and who wants the job, I think you get a bit derailed with the people that are out there. I think this is just our opinion, I don't know if it's your opinion. Yeah. Derek McInnes is the man for me. I think there's been that much money thrown out of Rangers Football Club through buying players and people taking money out. £1 million doesn't seem a lot of money if you get the right guy and you can move forward, and that £1 million will do you well for the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to, despite the fact you'll see names emerging in the press over the next couple of days, I don't think they'll be going down the route of a foreign coach. I have my doubts about them going down the route of even an English coach. I think they'll go closer to home with Derek McInnes, and that might open the door for Tommy Wright at Aberdeen. I'm 2 jumps ahead, but it wouldn't be a bad shout.
No, I don't think it would. I think Tommy Wright has brought a lot of stability to St Johnstone. I think that's what the Aberdeen owner would like. You know, somebody like that. You know, that because a lot of people will be really disappointed if Derek McInnes leaves. So you need somebody who's going to consolidate not only the club but the fans as well.
OK, what about Celtic against Kilmarnock? 62 games have equalled Willie Maley's Celtic side's record of 100 years ago. Slightly different circumstances, but nevertheless, Brendan Rodgers' team, much changed, but still with the same result. They haven't lost. They've had 56 wins and only 6 draws.
No, it's incredible. You know, we've spoke about it on numerous occasions. It doesn't matter what 11 he puts out there. If it's 5 out of the first team, they come in and they put up a good show. Other teams are beginning to get wise to it now. Then they are going to Parkhead and they're getting a draw. They never ever look as if they're going to beat Celtic, but they're getting draws, which will be encouraging for them. But as I think we all know, the bigger picture is the game tomorrow night.
Yeah, OK. Well, let's talk about that game tomorrow night. Celtic against Bayern Munich. No Patrick Roberts, but no Robert Lewandowski as well, which is a blow to Bayern Munich, but not quite a killer blow, to be honest with you.
No, I think it's a bigger blow for Roberts. You know, Roberts will be a big player at Parkhead. particularly on the ball. He can get the whole fans excited with the runs that he moves. So, I mean, James Forrest will come in. And I have to admit, I think he's better defensively, which obviously Celtic need in this kind of game, because you would expect Bayern to have the most possession of the ball. But no, I think Celtic will go into the game, and I think everybody's hoping that the performance is a lot better than the game in Germany.
OK, with that in mind, who do you play up front, Griffiths or Dembele?
I would play Dembele. I think Dembele, when he came on against Aberdeen, you can see why Brendan Rodgers thinks he's a different striker for Griffiths. I think Griffiths looking tired just now, quite rightly so. He's been playing the majority of the games. Dembele's fresh. We saw what he did in the European campaign last year, and I think he might just plump for him.
Give me a prediction.
I think Bayern will probably win 2-1.
OK, can't disagree with you on both counts here. I think Dembele will start up front, 2-1 Bayern, even without Lewandowski. You might think something completely different. I'm sure you can offer your opinion at our YouTube channel, PLZ Soccer, and of course you can offer us your thoughts at PLZ Soccer on Twitter and plzsoccer.com. That's facebook.com/PLZ Soccer. So, with the Champions League out of the way, what about the other games from the weekend? We've talked about Rangers and Celtic. Aberdeen did bounce back from that defeat against Celtic, 2-1. And boy, Ryan Christie, what a player he's turning out for the Dons.
He certainly is, and I think it was very noticeable in midweek when he couldn't play against Celtic, how he was missed. We saw at the weekend there that he has the ability in and around the 18-yard box, terrific left foot and a right foot, but he keeps scoring spectacular goals, and I think this boy's got a big future ahead of him in Scottish football.
Yeah. At Celtic?
Yeah, I think he has. I mean, he got a couple of games with Celtic before he went to Aberdeen. I thought he had vision. He can play a pass. OK, maybe a couple of years away, but the more big games he gets playing in, the better. OK
then, I'll take your word for it, Ruffy. Motherwell against Hibs. So, Motherwell, just 2 defeats out of 11. I think you've got to give him great credit, Stephen Robinson, what he's achieved there. Hibs, I watched them in the derby against Hearts. I was impressed by them. They just can't seem to get 2-3 goals to make it comfortable for them, but they deserved it again on Saturday.
Yeah, they certainly did. I think they came out, obviously, with the confidence of the Hearts win behind them. Looking forward to the game. I just thought, and to be expected, Motherwell just looked a wee bit off the pace in light of, obviously, the midweek game, the semi-final the week before. Some players looked a wee bit jaded. But no, the Hibs took their chances. It could have been maybe 1 or 2 more than that, but certainly when the strikers aren't scoring goals, at least the midfielders are chipping in.
Yeah, Neil Lennon mentioned after the match he needs better protection for his players. I think he was unhappy with the physicality of Motherwell as well. They're getting a wee name for themselves over the last couple of weeks. I just don't see it. There's many ways to win a football match. You know, man up.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Neil's obviously getting caught up in the whole thing. I don't think he was too happy about some of the tackling in the Hearts game. A couple of them quite rightly so, you know, so obviously he's went into the Motherwell game. And Motherwell, I mean, if you ask any manager, you know, if you come up against a team who you think maybe have got 1 or 2, 3 players better than you, then you stop them from playing. You don't have to be, you know, dirty in whatever you're doing. You just have to get in about them in the area that they're in and make a challenge. And that's just part and parcel of the game. OK, 2 games to finish, Ruffy. I didn't think Hamilton Accies would go to Dens Park and win by 3-1. I mean, they shocked us all. Yeah, they certainly did. They got a good goal early on, but everybody thought Dundee would come back in that one. All credit to Hamilton. They played really well. You know, the midfield got up and supported. Ali Crawford still missing, but there's still players in there who can score goals. But big problem for Neil McCann. You know, I don't know what he's going to do. That's 2 really poor results at home after the good result, no, not good result, good performance they had at Parkhead. So he's got a lot of thinking to do, and I don't know if there's any money in the bank for January, because that's them bottom of the league. Yeah, I still think they need a result before January, Ruffy, because, you know, it's not the... I haven't had the most stable board at Dens Park in a long time. I mean, I'm sure they're stable enough now, but are they stable enough to say, OK, let's see what you've got to do. Let's see if you can get something out of this Dundee squad that you have available before we give you more money. No, I think they've backed him to give him. I think he got a 3-year contract or something like that. He has been playing a lot of young boys. It's very noticeable. Obviously, maybe take some time to get settled in there. But Dundee will be like everybody else. They'll look at the fixture list. They'll see what games are coming up. Partick Thistle did it. You know, they had St Johnstone, Hamilton, Dundee, and picked up the points. So there will be games in there that Dundee will pick up points. It's just the same as everybody else. As long as there's a gap doesn't create, then he's okay.
I think Miles Storey scoring back-to-back goals is a huge boost for Alan Archibald. Thistle, as you mentioned, 7 points out of 9 from the last 3 games. Suddenly, the clouds seem to have been disappearing.
Yeah, and I've said it on numerous occasions. If more clubs would show a lot of faith in a young manager who's gone in, we might get a lot of better results in Scotland. I think David Beattie came out, even when the times were low, to say that Alan Archibald had justified everything to hold on and give him a chance to get results, because he's done it every other year, and lo and behold, he's got the results in the last 3 games. He's taken a bit of pressure off. There's still a wee bit to go, but they're not losing goals, and obviously the goalkeeper Thomas Cherney had a couple of good saves at the weekend, but no, I think the pressure's lifted just now at Firhill.
Okay, that's all the Premiership games taken care of. Join us after the break. Motherwell striker Louis Moult is our special guest. It's Peter and Ruffy's football show here on STV2. Our special guest is Louis Moult of Motherwell. Alan Ruff is alongside me, Peter Martin. It's a career which, it's fair to say, has blossomed in Lanarkshire. Did you lose your way down south?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there's a number of reasons why I probably wasn't ready for first team football. I was at Stoke. I got sent out on loan to Bradford as a 18-year-old, and I probably physically, mentally wasn't ready. I'll be first to admit that wasn't good enough. Very, very physical league at the time, League Two. Peter Taylor was the manager, so very experienced. Ball back to front, near enough every time. Wasn't strong enough, basically. I was big enough to admit that. It took me probably a couple of years to admit it, but I think, you know, my experiences on and off the pitch make me the person I am today. Yeah,
well, I mean, what was the deciding factor for you in first of all, hearing about Motherwell's interest and then thinking, yep, I'm going to have a go? What was your knowledge of Scottish football, first and foremost?
Not a great deal. I watched the odd game. But, you know, I was on holiday at the time with the family, and my agent rang me, but I left my phone in the hotel. You know, I'm a bit old school. I don't have my phone on holiday, so it was. We actually landed and I had 15 missed calls, voicemail. My agent said, "You better get up to Motherwell. The bid's been accepted," and that's how quick it happened. Come up and spoke. Ended up signing the next day. At the time, it was a decision. Me and Carly, you know, we just actually moved into a house 40 minutes away from Wrexham, and that was in Stoke at home. We just had a baby. We were very settled. But we kind of looked at each other and said, "You've got to take the chance. You've got to gamble a little bit." Thankfully, it's a gamble that's paid off up to now.
Yeah, it's big decisions that sometimes players can make just to reignite their career, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think you have to. You have to be bold. Obviously, coming up here with something new for Louis. I mean, and a lot of people don't realise that it's not just all about the player; it's about the family. You know, you've got to bring your wife with you. She's got to be 100% behind what you're doing, and if the both of you are like that, then you get the benefit on the park.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, early impressions of settling in. Was it easy for you? Was there difficulties, or was there someone that made it even easier for you?
It was tough to start with. I remember coming up. I signed on the Sunday or the Monday, and we were away in Holland on the Wednesday. Mrs. had to stay down south with the baby because, you know, I was just in a hotel. So it took me at least 2 months to settle in because we couldn't find a house. I was in a hotel room on my own. I was going home. I was going to football and rushing back. Well, you need your home comforts. You know, everyone likes to go home, sit on the sofa, and have a cup of tea with you, and you know, and have your kids there and have your missus there. And like you say, like I've just touched on there, you know, I think if you're happy off the pitch, you'll be happy on the pitch.
Yeah,
and that's definitely the case for myself.
And of the couple of seasons that you've been here, I mean, there's been a few crackers as far as goals scored. I mean, I'm going to say my particular favourite, I thought, was the goal you scored against Celtic, because, you know, a ball dropping over your shoulder and then technically to put it in the back of the net the way you did was special. But where does that rank in your top goals you've scored in this country?
It's definitely one of, you know, it's probably technically the best. You know, with great pass from Mick, and I'm just off the shoulder at Torre, and I've just guided it in over Gordon. So, you know, for it to be against Celtic, you know, in front of their fans, you know, unreal feeling. And then obviously the goal a couple of weeks back against Rangers, you know, similar kind of style, probably a little bit further out, but I think I had a little bit more time. So, you know, technically I would say the Celtic one's a little bit better.
As far as the reaction to the goal, though, against Rangers, I mean, it must have been even sweeter because everybody had been writing you guys off.
Yeah, it was, you know, in terms of, you know, the atmosphere and, you know, the you know, the ground and the semi-final and us winning, you know, you probably put that one top. Unbelievable feeling. You know, I actually think we were a little bit down on Saturday just because we were so high from the previous game. Rangers, you know, we were on such a high for 2 weeks because we just beat them and were in the final. I think we went into the Hibs game a little bit subdued because of that. That's something we've got to deal with. We've got to get ourselves right back up for any football game we play in.
How difficult is it going to be, Louis, to try and bully Celtic? Because that's something that Chris Cadden mentioned after they were able to bully Rangers. They were up for not only the first ball in the encounter, but up for the second ball as well. The desire was there.
Yeah, that's one thing we've actually relied on throughout the season. We've got great character in the dressing room, and we've probably wanted it more than other teams. I think we've got 5 or 6 players that have been through tough times off the pitch. That makes them more hungry on the pitch, me included. Like we just spoke about there, being in league, in the conference, being a part-time footballer, to then, you know, coming up here and being, you know, playing in the SPL. You know, I'm hungry for success, and there's a number of players. Our manager as well, you know, went down to Oldham, didn't do so well. Now he's hungry to prove people wrong like everyone else, and it's up to us to show that on the football pitch. I think that's what we've been doing good at. Yeah,
you have to have players, including yourself, on form to try and somehow thwart Celtic. That there's going to have to be a game plan, not only for what you guys can offer, but they have a formidable team that can, you know, can threaten you from all areas.
Yeah, fantastic squad, not just team. That's probably the difference. They can rotate, you know, what, 20, we've got 20, 25, 30 players they can rotate from, where we've probably got 20. So, you know, that's the difference. But, you know, we have to believe we could cause an upset like we did against the Rangers, and that's what will be in our minds.
Yeah, how important do you think some of the players that you have alongside you will be? I mean, is there a specific player that you think, if we're in a cup final, apart from people looking at you to score goals, there's someone else that I want to see walking out of that tunnel with me?
You know, I think one of the main things the gaffer's done this season is make our squad stronger, and we've got a little bit more depth. I think last season, if one of the starting 11 would have got injured, we might have got a young lad put in. No disrespect to young lads, but they probably weren't ready. This season, you're leaving some of the senior pros out of the bench because he's actually been able to strengthen the whole squad. So maybe, you know, the answer to that question, you know, I believe in every single person in that dressing room this season, and a few of the younger lads, by the way. We've got some fantastic young lads coming through. You know, the likes of Alan Campbell, who we've seen the past couple of weeks in centre mid, Chris Cadden that we just mentioned. You know, so we all believe in our own talents, and you know, it's up to us to cause an upset.
Yeah, I know nothing will beat the birth of your first child and the second one, which is on the way. But what would it mean scoring a winning goal in the cup final?
That's what dreams are made of. I said it before the Rangers game. We were in the hotel, and I remember just lying there, and I was wide awake, couldn't sleep. Adrenaline was pumping, and I pictured myself scoring. Not 2. I pictured myself scoring 1 and the winner. Thankfully, I got 2, and we won the game. So hopefully that happens again.
Yeah, I mean, the Motherwell fans look back with great fondness at the 1991 Scottish Cup winning side. Again, it's a chance to etch yourself into the history books with them, and of course, you know, be lauded, respected, you know, and revered for years to come.
Definitely. You know, I've heard a great deal about that team that won the cup. There's pictures all over the ground. They're heroes. They're Motherwell heroes, and you know, for me personally, I want to become a Motherwell hero. I want to do that, and I'm sure all the other lads want to do that also. Yeah,
Ruffy, they're going to pay tribute to Phil O'Donnell on the day of the cup final, which is just magnificent. I mean, Phil played for Celtic and for Motherwell, as you can see. A young Phil O'Donnell scoring in that 1991 cup final as well. I knew him well. He was a great box-to-box player, just a guy that loved playing football.
Yeah, and then I'm sure both sets of supporters will go along that day. Obviously, the game's important, but I think the memories that they'll have of him playing and wearing the jersey of both sides. He was a fantastic player, box-to-box player, scored some terrific goals, and I think that's what makes a cup final, that kind of, you know, thing that you're respecting somebody that's played for the both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Celtic are looking to try and defend their trophy. You guys are looking to upset the apple cart. And I think from that point of view, you need to have the right mindset. But I get a sense from you and your confidence and your desire that the rest of the team fear no one.
Well, we don't. That's exactly it. We got written off at the start of the season that we were going to be relegated. We will use it as our advantage, and we'll do that for the final. You know, we're all looking forward to it, but first and foremost, you know, we've actually put it to the back of our minds. We've got, 5-6 games until then, so we need to concentrate on, you know, our next game. So it's important we do that, and you know, when it comes to time to think about Celtic in the final, we will do, and we'll address it really, really keenly but positively.
Yeah, and if you get a winner's medal, do you give it to both daughters and just say they share it week in, week out?
I don't think I'll keep it myself.
It's a great point to end on, Louis. Listen, best wishes to you and your family, and of course, safe birth of your second child. It really is a special moment in someone's life, but of course, Hampden beckons for Louis Moult. Hopefully you've enjoyed his chat about scoring goals for Motherwell. I'm sure there's many more to come. Thanks to Louis Moult for joining us on the programme. From Ruffy and myself, hopefully you enjoyed the goals, and you'll join us tomorrow on the programme when we'll look more into Celtic against Bayern Munich and of course some of the main headlines in football. Thanks for watching. Good night.